But of course, his dream was betrayed by the person actually. Today is ironically, when I was looking at remembering it today, and people like others people know, is actually the day when the biggest betrayer of independence in this country died. I know who I'm talking to. Yeah? This ironically is the day that Kenyatta died, Jomo Kenyatta. Do you remember 22nd August? And I remember Ngogo Athiongo writing in his book, Going Retained. He said that, and Kenyatta died, and our dreams of independence grew wings. So this is the wings of independence that we are going for. But again, we are talking about the unity of the left has been tried for many years. I remember when Honorable Yusuf was speaking that day on Ngoge Memorial, he spoke about the memories which have been done by exiled communities in London, in Sweden, Scandinavia, to be able to bring the left together in the diaspora. But it was not. It came under Umoja Kenya then. But didn't come up very well. So this time around ourselves, we say that for us to be able to position ourselves not only for political leadership or electoral politics, but as a way of organizing the people of Kenya, then the radical left must meet and must unite. And if you look at your documents which have been shared, and you'll see them later in the day, you will see very, very strong start points that we do that have never been seen in this country for many years. Maybe the times of KPU, Jaramogi, and Kagia, and Pinto. That's the only time that we had such a radical decisions. So this the same is reincarnation of the Mau Mau War, the KPU struggle, the DT Mwana Kenya struggle that we find. It is a reincarnation of this to bring the left together, because we are always being caught on the sidelines. But even if we are going to these elections, and we are going to this organizing, and the revolution of the young people that we have seen, one of the things that we are very happy about, and even when I wear this kind of a flag, which are this kind of, I know Wavinya will be able to say this is hard woven, but it's because I got it during the mass, I was given by a young person, a Gen Z, when we went to the Mashujaa Love Festival. You remember the music, the music at Uhuru Park. All of you went there, and I remember when you were living there, the young person gave me. So when I hung it anywhere, in my house or anywhere where I went, you remember the struggle that people died for in June 25. And going forward. But if we don't take a lot of interest to what is happening in town politically, this revolution will be betrayed. But there are four things that we are always saying in terms of that revolution. The first thing, the revolution must be young. The left globally, from USA, from Germany, from elsewhere, the young people are taking center stage in terms of re-energizing the left struggle that seems almost lost. So the revolution must be able to be young and energetic. And I'm very happy that comrades, if you look at the line of the comrades from KLA, the Interim Steering Committee, is a very, very young generation that we talk about. But the second thing that we are saying is that the revolution must be very, very radical. I think when people are on the streets, they talk about the new economy, they talk about so many things that we'll talk about. So those are the things we'll talk about. But the third thing that is very crucial for us is that the power is never given. Power is always seized. Don't wait for inheritance to be given to the power. The power must be seized. Now with that, I would like us to stand 1 minute of silence and remember two comrades who were very crucial in this, building the left alliance. Maybe you want to stand up 1 minute, one second, and then we. Today, of course, we are mourning the passing of our comrades Wanjau, from Madare. He was very strong, so you remember Wanjao very well. And I know other communists from Madare and others, and the social justice movement come and remember Wanjao and minute of silence. But personally, I would like us to remember two comrades who have passed, who are very crucial in terms of left unity within us. And the first person is Comrade Michere Githae Mugo, who passed away, I think, 2024, 2023. But she was very crucial in terms of linking generations of struggle in our generations, but also in our generation. But she was very strong in terms of bringing the forces together that were fighting within the underground. Remember, she went to exile, and she was very crucial in that. And even when she would come in the Kenya, Michere Githae Mugo would remember each and every one. So we remember her very much, and she passed on. The other comrade that I want us to remember is Comrade Zarina Patel. Actually, the discussions that were there during the COVID-19 times on left unity, the paper that we wrote about left unity were mainly from Comrade Zarina Patel. And I'm very happy that her partner Zahid is here. You can raise your hands that Zahid is here. I don't know even whether the children are here. Rahat and others, they say they'll be here. But we remember and we say that her soul rest in peace. So thank you. Now it's introduction. The speech is over now. And you know, when I want to see far, then I wear the specs. Now this movement, there are so many people, there are so many groups that are here. But remember, the KLA is formed by individuals, because we believe individuals are very strong in terms of left awakening, but also the organizations. We will not make introductions here, because there is almost about 30 organizations that have registered and applied to membership for KLA. But there are also 30 individuals. There are almost about 100 individuals. I think, just for the sake of general introductions, I think, let me just, because I'll be able to see the ones that are here. Yeah, sure. Now I can see from the first row, I can see Njoki from Githurai, so Justice Center. And your partner, I can see Naomi here, our comrades within the coordinating committee, but also from the Palestinian Solidarity Movement, I can see Gadi, the same committee. I'm just introducing the organizations. And I can see from RSL, I think they are full house. I can see Comrade Waganga. We call him the Uncle Max. I can see who else? I can see, of course, the Ndukos and others. I can see Ukweli Party here. I can see Utu Heritage. I can see Awaz. I can see many other, Githurai. I can see Kayole. I can see Women Collective. I can see Ukombozi here. I can see our comrades from Rosa Rastenberg Foundation, Tanzania. I can see many other people who are here. Of course, even Modoni and Comrade Jessica and others. Karibuni sana. So I think once we are coming here and introduce us, we shall have a session to introduce ourselves properly. So there'll be a session for us to be able to speak much more about ourselves and even know each other. But for now, karibuni sana, and we wish every one of us a successful inaugural Delegates Conference for the Kenya Left Alliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Njuki. Nilikuwa nimewafundisha makofi. Karabanda. Karabanda ya KLA. Karabanda. Karabanda ya Njuki. Okay, so next we are going to have a speaker who is going to be speaking. He will tell you what he's going to be speaking about. I would like to invite Sungu Oyo. Karabanda! Karabanda! Ya Sungu!
amani asipongolala. Na vijana wa Afrika,
songeni,
tujengeni
mapambano, tutengeneze jeshi la mapinduzi, tujenge Kenya mpya.
Na mama wa Afrika,
songeni,
tuendeleze mapinduzi, tujenge jeshi la mapinduzi, tujenge Kenya mpya.
Viva comrades, viva. Viva comrades, viva. Comrades and compatriots, we lost a comrade yesterday. Comrade Njau from Madare Social Justice Center was more than a comrade. Njau was a brother to many of us. He was a husband. Njau was a father. And most importantly, Njau was an individual that many of us could depend on. We were with him in this very hall on Monday at the National Youth Convention, and he was jovial as always. Even as we demand for an explanation on the circumstances around his death, I'll ask that we observe a minute of silence in his honor.
Tula, tula,
tula, tula mama, tula, tula mama, tula, tula mama, tula.
Pole, pole,
pole, pole mama, pole, pole mama, pole, pole mama, pole.
Comrades and compatriots, my name is Simboyo. I am a writer, a community organizer, and a Pan-African. I work as the Director of Special Programs and Organizational Development at MWAPO, the Pan-African Popular Pedagogy Collective. More importantly, and I think more relevant to this gathering, I am a member of Kongamano la Mapinduzi, a political movement in Kenya, where I currently serve as the national spokesperson. Kongamano la Mapinduzi is part of the Kenya Left Alliance. We are today gathered here as the Kenya Left Alliance comrades. The Kenya Left Alliance, also known as the Kenya Left, is a united front of progressive political parties, organizations, movements, and individuals that is necessitated by the struggle for a more just, a more free, a non-sexist, non-homophobic, non-racist, non-exploitative, non-dominating, non-oppressive, non-ethnic, equitable, ecologically safe, prosperous, and dignified society that seeks the new socialist path. I am really honored to have been asked by my comrades and elders to deliver the keynote address at this important gathering. And so, my remarks today are largely a summary of the past decade of organizing and my experiences with the comrades, especially within our beloved organization, Kongamano la Mapinduzi. Viva comrades, viva!
viva!
Viva comrades, viva!
Viva!
Comrades, what are our historical becomings? This inaugural Congress of the Kenya Left Alliance is a coming together. It is a gathering of wishes and aspirations of a new generation of Africans who desire and want an Africa that is liberated from the clutches of both internal oppression and external dominance. As part of the Kenya Left Alliance, we at Kongamano la Mapinduzi, and by extension we at Mwamko, believe that this gathering will provide a roadmap that births a newness for a new context and age, even as it connects itself to longer genealogies of resistance and rebellion of African people both home and abroad. Comrades, we are children of struggle. Comrades, we are children of the struggle. We stand not only on the shoulders of those who came before us, but also on the graves of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice so we could be here today. And I will take a detour to outline this. What is today known as Kenya began in 1885 when the British Empire declared the British East African Protectorate under the administration of the Imperial British East African Company. Kenya was essentially started as a business, and that fact alone can explain why colonial patterns of economics persist to date. That is why our land is largely in the hands of foreign interests and a small cabal of the Kenyan ruling class. That is why British companies continue dominating the Nairobi Stock Exchange. That is why foreign companies dominate mining and industry. That is why foreign militaries have bases in this country. At the dawn of the colonial enterprise, it was young people who stood up against colonial patterns of economics and domination. Figures like Syokimau, figures like Moraa, figures like Mekatilili wa Menza, Waiyaki Wahinga, Koitalel Arap Samoei, and even Koitalel's son, Barcelon, who was detained for more than 40 years by the British colonialists. And these people were themselves young people at that time. In the same way that many of us are the young people of today, we must remember these historical figures because they have made a contribution to history that cannot be surmounted. As young people, they stood up against the machine of colonial domination that had appropriated our land, appropriated our labor and resources. They stood up against a system that was anchored on violence. Many young people like Muthoni na Njiru resisted that colonial machine and paid the ultimate sacrifice. In 1952, the War for National Liberation broke out. The Kenya Land and Freedom Army, under the capable leadership of Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi, who taught us that it is better to die on our feet than to live on our knees. He was leading that national liberation war, that war for national liberation. And I mention it specifically because the Mau Mau mostly comprised young people. This people's army fought valiantly against the British Empire so that we could secure our land and freedom. Comrades, the Kenya Land and Freedom Army was fighting for land and freedom. Kimathi was hanged by the colonialists on 18th of February 1957 at the age of 36. Like many others across the world, he paid the ultimate sacrifice at a young age, at the young age of 36, comrades. Comrade Che Guevara was assassinated at the age of 39. Patrice Lumumba, the son of the great Congo, was assassinated at 35. Comrades, revolutionaries die young, but we also acknowledge that others die at later stages of their lives, or we could say others die older. And so we have to salute those who preserved their lives to continue within the revolution. We salute El Comandante Castro. National independence in 1963 was meant to herald a new dawn, but it instead instituted the dictatorship of a minority. National independence marked a betrayal that created national questions that remain unanswered to date. The land question is still unanswered, comrades. There is many questions that are key to our collective history and our collective progress as a people that remain unanswered in this country. By 1965, the progressive forces were already repressed. The Kenyatta regime killed Pio Gama Pinto in cold blood and would continue to kill many more, over the years. It isolated the leftist forces, including Bildad Kagia and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. In 1969, 19-year-old Abdilatif Abdallah, who was to be with us here today, was jailed for writing a pamphlet titled Kenya Tuendapi. Kenya, where are we headed? And I think it's a question that's still relevant today. And I hope that our deliberations over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, will also again pose that same question to the political landscape. And Comrade Abdilatif lost a member of his family yesterday. He was to be with us here. He lost a member of his family, but is following our proceedings from Mombasa. That repression that led to the jailing of Comrade Abdilatif is why organizations like the Kenya People's Union, organizations like the December 12th movement, emerged to challenge the hegemony of Kenyatta and his acolytes. The student movement in Kenya blossomed, and its vibrancy was buttressed by intellectual circles at the public universities. That is why Mwakenya was founded, to create a newness in a society that had largely been intimidated and brutalized into silence. Comrades Ngugi wa Thiong'o, Willy Mutunga, Maina wa Kinyati, Oduoro Ngwen, Mwandawiro Mganga, Peter Yang Kihara, Oyangi Mbaja, and many others were jailed for the standing on the left side of history, for they were leftist. Shiraz Durani, Wanjiru Kihoro, Morris Adongo Ogony, Mukaru Nganga, Miguna, Mishere Mugo, and the great Gisheha Mungai, Yuthu Ferry, were also exiled, among many others. Comrade Waroiru Mungai remained actively underground for 6 years, traversing between Kenya and exile without ever getting arrested. I mention these names because we must know those who have sacrificed for us to get here. Other comrades like Zarina Patel remained consistent all through to the bitter end. Our Shujaz never gave up. Comrades, our Shujaz never gave up. And I am proud to say that some of them are here with us today. Our comrades endured persecution and lost many of their compatriots over the years. They were also betrayed by others who decided that the geography of their stomachs was more important than the national question. And so even as we mourn Jau today, I will ask that we observe another minute of silence for all those comrades who we have lost over the decades.
Waliua Sankara wakidhani tumekwisha, lakini badala yake mapambano yaendelea, mapambano
Yaendelea, 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 yaendelea,
mapambano
yaendelea, 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 yaendelea.
When the mothers of political prisoners gathered at Uhuru Park, it was again out of this historical desire and historical responsibility to birth a new society, a society that would guarantee our collective dignity. Their children had been jailed by the Moi Kanu dictatorship for simply demanding a better society. Many Kenyans had been jailed, tortured, maimed, killed for engaging in the struggle for multipartyism, which again had young people at its forefront. We salute RPP, release political prisoners. We salute Karim Ndutu, who was assassinated by the Kenyan state in 1996. Long live Karim Ndutu, long live.
Long live.
Long live Karim Ndutu, long live. Young people have always been at the forefront of our shared struggle for a better society. The youth of yesterday might be called the elders of today. Comrade Willie, give us a secret on how to remain young and vibrant in the struggle. Our generation appreciates the sacrifices that Comrade Willie, Chief Justice Emeritus, the sacrifices that you have made over the years. We appreciate the sacrifices of your contemporaries, Jael Mbogo, Professor Kivuta Kibwana, Wahu Kaara, who is with us here today, Oki Ooko Ombaka, Mudhoni Wanyeki, Wafula Buke, Mabel Sitati, and of course, not forgetting Deka Ibrahim. Comrades, these are our heroes. In 2010, our country promulgated a new constitution that many people present here worked hard towards actualizing. Many paid sacrifices and even lost their lives for us to have this constitution today. Odhiambo Mbai lost his life, comrades, for this constitution. And today the people in power want to stand before us and trash this very constitution. We must say no, comrades. We must say no. Siwaski, we must say no. We must say
No.
we must say no, comrades. Comrades, why have I taken this historical detour? I have taken this detour to remind us that we have a wealth of experience in this room and that the Kenya Left Alliance is not starting from scratch. We are building on the actions of those who came before us. We are building on the organizations, movements, and organized fronts that came before our generation. As Marcus Garvey reminds us, we have a beautiful history, but we'll create one that will astonish the world. We can only create that new and radiant history through struggle. But what is our context? Comrades, what is our context? The Kenyan state is a neo-colonial state. The neo-colonial state is created in the image of the colonial state. It every day subjects our people to poverty. It every day subjects our people to humiliation. It every day subjects our people to death. As Frantz Fanon reminds us, colonialism is a violent machine. And for many people in our generation, for Kenyan youth, they have witnessed this violence not just theoretically, but also practically, for we have buried many of our compatriots killed by bullets that were bought using our taxes, especially over the past year. And so, I will repeat again that our generation stands not only on the shoulders of those who came before us, but also on the graves of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Comrades, what must be done? I know this is an old and historical question, but what must be done? Fanon famously said that each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. The 2024 Youth Uprising must be understood as a product of our people's material realities and the contradictions that continue to define our country since independence and even prior to that. In 2022, Ruto was declared the victor of an electoral process. He rode to power on the backs of working class people. After assuming power in 2022, the Ruto regime scrapped fuel subsidies, increased tuition fees in public universities, started a process of privatizing public-owned entities and industries, raised taxes on essential commodities, and cemented an economic philosophy of beg, borrow, and steal. All within a year, they were able to institute this machinery. Ruto had within that period basically instituted a dictatorship of the moneyed. When the youth of Kenya went to the streets last year, it was out of a shared generational desire to break free from these chains of oppression. Kwa sababu hata juzi tukiwa hapa kwa Youth Congress, tulikuwa tunasema hao watu wamegeuza nchi kama duka ya hardware. Kazi yao ni kuamka kupora, kuamka kupora. In fact, a hardware shop is run better than this country. Sasa sisi, tukiwaacha waendelee na hii njia, tukiwaacha waendelee namna hii, sisi tutabaki na nini? Watoto wetu watabaki na nini? Kwa hivyo vita yetu, ile ambayo tuko nayo, is a struggle for dignity, na tutaendelea kusukuma na kukaza kamba. When the youth of Kenya went to the streets last year, it was out of a shared generational desire to break free from these chains of oppression. June 25th, 2024 and June 25th, 2025 marked a leap in the collective consciousness of our people. And we continue to draw huge lessons from these events, especially the events of last year. And I remember during the protest, there was a lot of people asking, where have all these kids come from? Because they're in the middle of town in their hundreds of thousands. I think there is a notion that must be corrected, because these are not kids. This generation constitutes the largest segment of the Kenyan population. We are easily recognizable as a generation that can see through your lies, as a generation that can tell you off. This generation has been speaking truth to power and rebelling against the status quo for more than a decade now. This is the generation that burnt the high schools to the ground when their teachers refused to listen to them. While some in this generation voted in the last election, a great majority did not, because they could see beyond the charade and knew that multi-party dispensations do not necessarily equate to democratic outcomes. This generation clearly understands the power structures in society and knows who comprises the unseen and unheard segments of society, those excluded and deemed as unworthy of housing, those excluded and deemed as unworthy of education, those excluded and deemed as unworthy of healthcare. The state had basically taken everything from this generation and left us in a situation where we didn't have much else to lose but our chains. I mean, where else would young people be if not on the streets? Because there is no jobs. Industries are closing every other day because of the taxes they are raising and the extortion they are doing on even small industry and businesses. Young people, meanwhile, in this country are today being exported to foreign countries, so that they can be slaves in foreign lands. That third pillar of the economic, the third point of the economic pillar of the government, which is labor export, basically is a ploy to get young people out of this country because the government has failed to create opportunities for them and to take them to other lands so that they can slave on and on. We refuse that. We want to stay here and live here and build this country. This generation was coming of age during the COVID crisis and watched their parents going through tough realities to sustain their families. We have endured poor quality education. We have endured unemployment. We have endured police brutality, extrajudicial executions, and many other forms of humiliation that the neo-colonial state every day subjects and condemns us to. The only difference between our beloved Gen Zs and the generations that preceded them is that they have refused to be silenced. We have refused to be part of the political economy of silence. This generation gave us Shembeteng. This generation gave us Gengeton. They reminded us that cheki ya mafala wamekaa wamezubana, wanacheki ya Subaru ya Mambaru inakaa na imejaa. They reminded us, if you remember, when Wakadinali told us that cheki ya mafala wamekaa wamezubaa na wanacheki Subaru ya Mbaru inakam na imejaa. They were essentially saying a big no to extrajudicial executions. They were saying a big no to generational poverty. They were saying a big no to humiliation. They were affirming the territory of life through their actions. And I'm glad we are here again at Ufungamano today, and that we are with our comrades, especially the artists who are with us today, because liberation art has always been the soundtrack of our movement. I salute all revolutionary artists who continue to keep us dancing on our feet as we march towards victory. Viva Field Marshals, viva. Viva, viva Makomanda, viva. Viva. You people, you didn't have breakfast? I know things are bad in the country. And so, I think, not to belabor the point, I just want to remind us that in 2024, Comrade Lenin's words came to life. Lenin teaches us that there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. In 2024, especially the 4 weeks of June, the last 2 weeks of June 2024, and the first week of August in 2024, we witnessed decades happening right before our eyes. When Gen Zs took to the streets in 2024, it was against a finance bill that sought to increase taxes on a citizenry that was already overtaxed. We were enraged by the fact that the Ruto regime, which rode to power on a working class narrative, had literally betrayed us while giving tax breaks to the rich. For example, through the exemptions they gave on helicopter spare parts, while increasing taxes on essential commodities, food and whatnot. We were also livid because our parliamentarians, who are among the highest paid in the world and who live opulent lifestyles in a highly unequal society, had turned a deaf ear to objection of their tax increases. And so, like I said, when we went on the streets, we were met with tear gas, water cannons, batons, and bullets. And when the protests finally simmered down, at least 60 lives had been lost. 60 lives had been lost to the conveyor belts of violence, the Kenya Police Force. And we maintain it is still a police force because despite the cosmetic changes and calling it a Kenya Police Service, it offers us no service. Death is not a service. We have to make that very clear. In June 2025, we again rose up to demand justice for all those martyred by the state. 25th June 2025, which started as a warm and jovial Nairobi morning that sought to demand justice for victims of police violence, ended with more than 30 of our compatriots dead. Indeed, history repeats itself first as a tragedy, then as a farce. These words of Marx have never been more relevant. I wish to take a minute to salute my comrades, Wanjiru Wanjira, Shakira Wafula, Sophie Njehia, Hanifa Adan, Joshua Okayo, Mamka Anyona, Lewis Maganga, Soreti Kadir, Comrade Jera, Comrade Kasina, and all those people who we were with on the streets, Comrade Brian Madenge, all those people who we were with on the streets, I salute you. I must especially mention the Muthaiga 3, whose fabricated charges were dropped by the court yesterday. Comrade Mulingwa Garang, Comrade Mutunge Mwangi, and Comrade Mark Amiani, Generali, our National Organizing Secretary at Kongamano la Mapinduzi. Comrades, let's not drop this ball. Viva Gen Z, viva! Viva! Viva Gen Z, viva! Viva! And our compatriots continue to face trumped-up charges. A lot of people are facing charges related to the protests. A lot of people are still facing terrorism charges. A lot of our compatriots are still in jail, in remand prison, I mean. And so let's not lose sight of the goal. But we must say that these maneuvers, just like last year, these maneuvers did not intimidate us. Comrades, these maneuvers did not intimidate us. Last year, at the height of the protest, we continued marching, we continued singing, we continued dancing on the streets. We shared the little water that we had brought to the protests among ourselves in a bid to quench the sting of the tear gas. Beyond being a protest, we must also view this process as a festival of freedom that continues to inspire hope of future prospects and earthquakes in the political landscape. As the crowds dispersed in June 2024, Rex Masai lay dead. He was the first martyr of the political process that this generation had brought to life and thrust upon us. Aliuba, our great Pan-African comrade and ally, who is with us here today, once reminded us that we stand not just on the shoulders of those who came before us, but also on their graves. We today stand on the grave of Rex Masai, in the same way that we stand on the graves of Dedan Kimathi, on the grave of Pio Gama Pinto, J.M. Karaoke, Alexander Muge, Odhiambo Mbai, Onyango Olo, the unsung Cindereri, Chelagat Mutai, and all others who paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to enjoy the rights and freedoms that we exercise today. Our struggle, comrades, is a just and righteous struggle. Our struggle is a just and righteous struggle. Our struggle is a clash between two forces that are diametrically opposed to each other. We have the oppressed on one side and the oppressors on the other side. And the only logical conclusion to our struggle is the victory of the masses. We must continue tightening the rope around the necks of our enemies. What is our enemy? Our enemy is poverty. We must tighten the rope against its neck. Our enemy is lack of health care. Our enemy is lack of education. Our enemy is lack of opportunities in this country. Why is it that the youth unemployment rate in this country is at 67.7%? Comrades, why is the youth unemployment rate at 67.7%? Why do our people continue to die from treatable diseases like malaria more than 60 years after independence? Why is it that the number of homeless Kenyans is increasing year after year? Why did the Ruto regime increase university fees, then create a commission to look into the high cost of education? Wanafikiria si ni mafala nini? Why did Shiramba have to die? Comrades, why did Albert Ojwang have to die? Why did Rex Masai have to die? Why did we have to lose more than 200 of our compatriots, comrades?
Why? Oh, why? Oh,
Why they shot them down? Caroline Shiramba. Why? Oh, why? Oh, why they shot them down?
Comrades, comrade power, comrade power. Long live the defiant spirit of the people, long live. Comrades, the people are the motive force of history. The events of June 2024 and June 2025 should make us all realize that all sovereign power belongs to the people. All sovereign power belongs to the people. Comrades, who are the people?
We are the people.
Who are the people?
We are the people.
Who are the people?
We are the people.
And our oppressors are today ganging up in their reactionary political formations. In 2020, in this very hall, the Sheikh from Namlef, his name escapes my mind. Yes, Sheikh Abdullahi Abdi. In this very hall, Sheikh Abdullahi Abdi reminded us that Kenya does not have political leaders, but ethnic warlords. I think we can today expand his words and say that Kenya does not have political leaders, but ethnic lords of war who use the people as bargaining chips so as to secure their class interests. Ruto, for example, has lost all legitimacy to govern this country. The Ruto Kenya Kwanza dictatorship has abducted, beaten, and killed many of our compatriots over the last year. Raila Odinga, who was once packaged as a reformist, has over the past year propped up a sinking regime and tried to give it legitimacy. This is a stark betrayal, comrades. One, it is a betrayal that is counter to the ideals he espoused over the decades. And recently he spoke that balderdash about a national conclave. To Raila Odinga, the young people of this country have questions for you. How much does a Kenyan life cost? How much does a Kenyan life cost? What is the cost of those we lost in Kisumu over the years? What is the cost of the lives of those we lost in Nairobi over the years? What is the cost of Baby Pendo's life? We must realize that the ruling class is united as ever, that it is dancing on the graves of those compatriots who are martyred by the state so as to enable them protect their collective class interests. Rigathi Gachagua, who came back yesterday, meanwhile, is a crude ethnic bigot. And it must be said, comrades, Rigathi Gachagua is a crude ethnic bigot who seeks to reverse the gains of our uprising. One of the leading slogans of our insurrection was the tribeless slogan. By adopting this slogan, our young people had essentially declared themselves tribeless because they were active witnesses of history. They had witnessed firsthand how tribe and ethnicity was weaponized in this country by these very ethnic warlords who are united against the poor. As perennial victims of economic violence and unemployment, our young people instinctively understood that intergenerational unity was a key ingredient in reversing decades of marginalization. To our elders, you will have to tell us how to handle some of your former comrades. Your generation, like all generations, also had traitors. You are not the only ones who have faced betrayal from your contemporaries. We have also faced the same from people we trusted and organized key actions with. Some of them have joined the bourgeoisie in their reactionary political formations. Others are busy, day in, day night, trying to reverse our forward march into history, trying to slow down our forward march into history. These characters represent a backward and liberal type of politics, and this generation must consign them to the dustbins of history. Kenyan civil society, which was at the forefront of struggle in yesteryears, has in many ways largely taken a backseat, either out of ambivalence or intimidation. That is why a press conference by the mothers of victims of state killings at the Kenya Human Rights Commission was attacked by goons. The KHRC was attacked at a moment when its former board chair is sitting pretty in State House as chief advisor to the aspiring dictator. Shame. 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 And the state is again trying to sow confusion within our generation. They want to use the people, especially the young people of this country, to validate people like Maraga and Matiang'i. They want to use us to validate people who speak about the rule of law at a moment when we are speaking about the rule of the people. The law must submit to the people and their dignity. We are simply not interested in bourgeois law. To our elders, we vow not to repeat your mistakes. Mwakenya and other progressive organizations making a decision not to contest the 1992 elections, then loaning some of their organizers and leadership to other political formations was a mistake, at least according to our analysis. Not actively participating in the 1992 elections as a movement was a mistake, and that is why our generation thinks that it is best for us to contest the 2027 elections under the banner of the Kenya Left Alliance. Comrades, the days of the underground are gone forever. The days of the underground are gone forever. We must operate above ground. Comrades, if that means that some of us will have to pay sacrifices like many of us have paid, many from our generation, so be it. And so I ask again in the Leninian fashion, what must be done, comrades? Comrades, what must be done? This is a question that plagues all well-meaning people of Kenya and Africa and many parts of the world. We have all the ideas and analysis, yet we refuse to contest power. And so here is an answer. I, Sungwoyo, will be contesting for the presidency under the banner of the Kenya Left Alliance through Ukweli Party. Comrades, we must build organization. We must build organization, for oppressed people have never won without organization. We cannot act on spontaneity alone. We must build and strengthen organization. We must contest the elections under progressive banner that can, at the minimum, enable us achieve gains for the long-suffering Kenyan masses. We must unite under the banner of the Kenya Left Alliance and contest for all positions, from MCA to president. In doing so, we must, however, never fool ourselves that young people will deliver simply because they are young. Our organizations and movements must engage in rigorous political education that enables their members to move from an instinctive to a rational understanding of oppression. We must produce leadership from amongst our ranks. Ukweli Party is here. The Revolutionary Socialist League is here. The Social Justice Movement is here. Women Collective Kenya is here. The Field Marshals are here. And of course, our beloved organization, Kongamano la Mapinduzi, among tens of other progressive organizations and movements. These progressive organizations will have to collaborate in unifying their political education programs. These organizations, under the Kenya Left Alliance, will have to create a political program of action that speaks to the times. This political program will have to negate the neo-colonial state that condemns us to poverty and humiliation. It will have to speak to the new worlds that we every day organize to create, those worlds of freedom, those worlds of joy, those worlds of love, those worlds of laughter, and most importantly, those worlds of dignity. I am glad that today we will be going through various documents and ratifying them as we prepare for a joyful march into history. This joyful march into a leftist and progressive future is both a generational and a historical responsibility. For as Fanon reminds us, Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. That is why we affirm again that we stand shoulder to shoulder with all oppressed people across the world. We affirm our unconditional solidarity with the people of Congo. We affirm our solidarity with the people of Western Sahara. We affirm our solidarity with the Zapatistas in Mexico. Let's come together and stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Uganda who are engaged in a struggle to kick out dictator Museveni. We must stand firm alongside all the people of East Africa, all the people of Africa, the people of the Republic of Tanzania, who are also fighting for renewal in their society. And lastly, we remember not to forget our brothers and sisters in Sudan and the people of all parts of the world who are being, especially in Europe, the people who are being eroded by fascism. I will finish by coming back home. Comrades, I will finish by coming back home. What we have witnessed over the past year is a generation coming of age, a generation openly declaring that they will not live in poverty and humiliation, a generation saying it will not be cowed or intimidated into silence again. It is a rupture on the Kenyan political landscape. It is a reverberation on the African political landscape. Let this be an eruption on the global political landscape, a rupture that might just eventually push aside anything and anyone who stands between the masses and their dignity. Rest in power, Comrade Njau. Long live the memory of Comrade Njau, long live. Long live the Kenya Left Alliance, long live. Long live the African Left, long live. Long live the progressive forces of the world, long live. Asanteni sana. Belongs to the people.
We are the people.
Afrika huru.
Afrika ya kijamaa.
Awetu.
Mko tayari kwa mapinduzi?
Mko tayari. Mko tayari kwa mapinduzi. Mko tayari. Mko tayari kwa mapinduzi. Tuko tayari. Tuko tayari kwa mapinduzi. Tuko tayari. Are you ready for revolution?
We ready. We are ready for revolution.
We are ready. Viva comrades, viva! Viva Kenya Left Alliance, viva! Kenya Left Alliance, mapinduzi sasa. Kenya Left Alliance, mapinduzi sasa. Ardhi, chakula, ukombozi. Mapinduzi sasa. Kenya Left Alliance, mapinduzi sasa. Tupigie President makofi. Karabanda! Hey! Haya, alafu ile tulikuwa tumejifunza, si ndio? Karabanda! Karabanda! Yasungu! Karabanda! Karabanda! Yasungu! All right, we can take our seats. And without much further ado, I would like us to introduce the next artist who is going to come on stage. We will have Cricket the Poet, and I just want you to do ta. When I say hey ta, you say ta. Hey ta! Ta! No, you need to shoot up. Ta. Hey ta! Ta! Hey, my voice is louder than yours. Hey ta! Ta! Cricket! Ta! Cricket! Ta! Karibu sana cricket.
Viva comrades, viva! Ni shujaa wanjao wetu, ni shujaa wanjao wetu. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa. Naitwa Cricket Rights. Nimekuwa nikifikiria maybe this ni to comrade Wanjao. Maybe tell Mama Victor that floods is still an unresolved issue in Mathare. Tell Albert Ojwang that still a single tweet is a grave offense. Tell Ongare Madai that Uhuru Park has become and is slowly becoming another concrete jungle, and they are busy building estates along Karura. Ni shujaa wanjao wetu, ni shujaa wanjao wetu,
ni shujaa.
Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa.
Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa.
So one day workers wata unite na system ya majamba zitabaki manjaa basi. Mkulima wa baazi ata question mbona after produce akonjaa basi. Basi uferi wafanyikazi kwa shamba za maua, selector ata change playlist na kucheza tracks za mapinduzi basi. Kwa sherehe tapiga pamba local after kudevelop industries zetu za cotton basi. Members wa unions ka kotu watarise, payslip zao zinakonda na Francis ananona at no worries basi. Streets zita flood fighters wakiprotest kwa system yezi jenga hata drainage basi. Tutarename streets Mama Koigi, Mama Victor, Mama Ndudhu, Mama Getau Mwara, Wagare Maathai, Nekesa, Musa, na rekorwa togoria mwaria manamtekeleze katiba basi. Stanzas za newspaper tutarewrite history ya watetezi walijoin system inadhulumu wananchi basi. Farmers wata embrace organic farming na scandals za fake fertilizers zitaisha basi. Tutaoccupy cereals board, mahindi waliacha inaoza tukiimba njaa, tutashare basi. Streets za Zuckerberg zitajaa posts za kuvua Gates na Elon Musk za ukapitalisti basi. Chama zitakuwa na wamama hawata mama kwa speeches za liberation basi. Wafuasi hawata changa kujenga shule kwa churches zenye watoto wao hawata afford basi. Export ya teachers itaisha na class zetu zitakuwa na walimu wa kutosha basi. Lectures kama za Misere Mugo, Kamoji Wachira, Goge wa Thiong'o, Maina wa Kenyati, Mazrui, Edward Oyugi zita inspire militant students. Onyango Lo, Tirop, Tito Adungosi, Karemi Ndudhu, likes za Wafula waibuke basi. Ni shujaa makomrades wetu, ni shujaa makomrades wetu,
ni shujaa.
Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa.
Ndio maana tunasema ni shujaa.
So leo hata wakichain my body lazima nita free my mind kama Misere. Sita betray hii motherland kwa kusubmit cooperation. Kwa hii country imejaa patriots kwa jails na prisons. Economy neo-colonialist na hii regime ina create poverty na kufanya ama youths wanakuwa criminals. Nimekataa kunyamaza kuona tunaoga mikono kuserve bullets. Leo hata kama history haitaandikwa na pen, waambie ni basi waiandike na rifle. Sina fear imprisonment kwa regime ina treat citizens kama slaves, ina to deny human rights na bado kwa public holidays na imba love, peace and unity. So niaje hii country ni most democratic time others wanakufa kwa detention cells na torture chambers. Niaje hii country ni most democratic time others wanakufa na njaa. Country ni prison, home ya oppressed alafu a small minority na enjoy privileges. Exam papers zimechelewa kufika Turkana ati transport ni ya udu. Na ballot papers zilifika before 6 AM. We wacha bana. So policies Policies walitype alafu zikasainwa na ball pen, na hapo ndio tulichezwa. Koti wakapiga perfume na expectaji wataheshimu court order. 21st century bado gava yako inatumia unga ku bribe nation kuvote. Mkulima wa kahawa na golos after sales jua kutoa chai. So nani haoni Kenya taa? Bado hakuna. Nani atatikileta article 1 ya constitution vifiti? All sovereign power. The people ni set flani ya rulers wa protect wealth kwao. Sunday wamekrama apostles creed, alafu Monday greed in our drive na testimonies za vile 7 days without prayer inawafanya weak. Wao hujasikia kiongozi wa Wanga alikuwa na bongo na bado alikuwa deceived na sweets. Mambo leo still new colony, believe me, hata Mugabe angekuwa Kenya na hangetaka anyone amuite roba. Hama ni roba. So tunaishi na country where the president anapenda the youth but most strategic jobs anapea the old, na kwa hiyo mood still awari country yenye na constitution kama ni leadership nachagua humanity kwa leader wangu. Juu kama leadership ni school degrees na certificates, basi hadi zile karatasi za Waititu zilikuwa true. Ni Ferdinand misinterpret. So pieces mobs za peace wasanii wanaandika lakini bado hana amani. Kiongozi mwananchi alichagua already anamfichia white. Already ana stock ya ngano ya kubandika poster sehemu ya campaign na Turkana tunakufa njaa. Wanjiku hawezi afford kawairi mom mkulima wa roskoko na majani chai analia njaa toka time ya Nyayo. Afya center ni kama base fulani ya viongozi waende snacks. Docs ni less, hospitals ni less, na zenye ziko bado hazina madawa. So tunataka police service, si ya police force. Utumishi kwa wote, si utumishi kwa kara wengine. Jukara wengine ni same na photographers kila time. They've got a clear shot. Makara wengine ni kama kwa class. Woi, walitoa sura viatu vile wamekuwa sharp shooters. So tulienda recruitment ya makarao alafu tukaambiwa tuko na shida ya macho. Alafu after kutembea station tukapata afande amevaa miwani. So niambieni nani alifunga mwingine macho? Ama tulifungwa macho? Juu tulikosa za macho. Toa tindagira muthenya tutarite irio ciarĩ cia hwaĩ-inĩ tukarĩa gatheri tugathiĩ tugakoma Ngai ndatũtigire. Tutaunganisha stima, tutaunda barabara, tutajenga serikali na vijana ya bodaboda na mama mboga. So aka slogan nikagasha goa. Where Mr. President ni route O gani unatupeleka? Kusema education ni free na vile books ni expensive ni ku-exercise our minds. Kusema education ni free na jana kuna mtoi alisare shule juu alikosa uniform ni ku-exercise our minds. So unafilaje sasa zenye uwezo wako na kuongoza national anthem na tujenge taifa? Alafu Korogosho, Mukuru kwa jenga, Mathare wanabomolewa. So unafilaje sasa zenye uwezo wako na kuongoza national anthem na tujenge taifa? Alafu Mukuru kwa jenga, Mathare, Korogosho wanabomolewa. Lakini mnajua nini comrades? It's not yet uhuru, sindio? So ni kanisa ilitumika kuomba kura, wakaswea na Biblia, but sahi wanatumia kifua kuongoza. Time constitution ilifaa kukaa tiba. So Meru alichagua governor wakidhani atapiga Kawera, but sahi hakuna mwangaza. Nairobi Johnson bado anasaka ja. Kwa government inanua curtains za 10 million. Where Julius ya kina nani wanabeba mapasia. Ni shujaa wasanii wetu, ni shujaa wasanii wetu,
ni shujaa.
Long live our struggle, long live.
Long live. Thank you so much. That was Cricket the Poet. Makofi ya Cricket. Karabanda ya Cricket. Asanteni sana. We'll move quickly into the panel that is coming. And this is the panel that will be discussing Kenya's liberation struggle. So we'll have the first generation of the rebellion. Hey. Acha nizungumze Kiswahili. Liberation struggle. Na watakapokuja tutawachezea nyimbo kidogo. Na hii wimbo nataka kumnukuu msanii mashuhuri kutoka Tanzania ambaye anaitwa Vitali Maembe. Na Vitali Maembe alitueleza kwamba wakati mwingi tukiimba nyimbo za mapinduzi au wimbo za ukombozi, si lazima tuseme inchi, mapambano, tunaweza kutumia lugha ya mafumbo. Unaweza kumwimbia msichana mapenzi, lakini unamaanisha nchi yako. Si ndio? Sasa akatufunza njia mbadala ya kuimba wimbo wa mapambano. Kwa hivyo huu wimbo utaenda kwa first generation ambapo wakijitayarisha kuja hapa. Na tunaweza kuungana na wao. Mayebaki wapi support ya hii generation wakija hapa mbele? Na yebaki suka siko tingamae yangae no nobali nangae pantalo mokaba mama tabalanda tasuke sabilo belango ya batu ikwela yangae na sheri sukali tama na yebaki Kasikotingangae, yangai no nobali nangai, bandalo mokaba mama. Tavalana, tasukisabila belango ya batu, ikwela yangai na sheri, sukali litamba. Makofi jamani, hivi, ndio tukiwakaribisha. Oh, ngaida yao, na yeri komo ya mandate, oh ya ngaida yao, libalango ya bombandate, ae. Oh, ngaida yao, na yeri komo ya mandate, oh ya ngaida yao, libalango ya bombandate, ae. Makofi yao jamani.
Thank you, comrades. Okay, so we're here on our first panel. I'll introduce myself. My name is Mombi Kanyogo. I organize with Trans Queer Fund, and I'm also a member of Kenya Left Alliance. Karibuni to our first NDC. So I'm going to begin with explaining why we're doing this panel first. As Comrade Sungu has explained to us, Kenya Left Alliance sits on multiple struggles over time. It works to bring into one stream multiple multi-generational struggles and knit a genealogy of struggle across time, across borders, and across issues. And so we're here we're here convening this panel in order to think about how the questions of authoritarianism, capitalism, imperialism, neocolonialism, anti-communism remain and are sustained over time, such that in the 70s and 80s, where Comrade Mutunga and Comrade Wahu were fighting, they were thinking about similar questions. And we're also convening this panel in order to contest this narrative that Gen Zs are the first to wage this struggle. We know that's not true. And we know that we want to contest this idea that there's silos between our generations. Instead, we want to think about genealogy across time, across struggle. So without further ado, I'll ask our two comrades to introduce themselves. They don't need any introduction, but I'll just ask them to introduce themselves and to explain why it is and what brings them to Kenya Left Alliance as veterans of the struggle. So we'll start with Comrade Wahu.
My name is Wahu Kara. I'm Kenyan. And I'm here because my spirit has always been that I have to be a Kenyan and I must do what needs to be done to the truism of the fulfillment of my life as a Kenyan. And therefore, I'm not here accidentally. I'm here because it is my right. And I'm here to participate with you like I have always participated with many others, because the struggle is a flowing river. It depends on when you see how it is getting so full and making sure that it doesn't drown you. I thank God because I have not been drowned. This is a triple heritage experience for me. And therefore, I'm delighted and happy that you are able to bring me here. Aluta continua.
Thank you, Comrade Wahu. Comrade Mutunga.
So I in the steering committee of Kenya Left Alliance, and my reason for joining that alliance is because I see a great opportunity for this country, particularly after the Gen Z revolution last year. And I think we have to see this, what Rodney called links and continuities. And we see opportunities where, changes, can happen. And we see where a country like Kenya doesn't have a people's opposition, because whenever we have opposition, the opposition reinforces the dictatorship. And I think the only opposition we had, people's opposition, was KPU, which was banned in 1969. But the resistance is recorded by history. Where there is oppression, there is always, resistance. And so those of us who are Gen Zs, in the 1970s, there's something that you have to understand, about us and why we joined these movements. Because it's, as you grow older, you start wondering whether this country will be liberated because of the twists, and turns. So my getting into into Kenya Left Alliance is because I believe in a united front of the left. I believe that is a viable political, alternative. I believe that there is a great opportunity now to sink, the Kano dictatorship before it even turned 62 in December. It's a possibility, and that's the reason why I'm in Kenya Left alliance, because I see the movements, there are political parties, there's a consensus on contesting, political power. And at this stage, it's that united front of progressive forces, in my view, is the one that is required, and the opportunity that we have, to actualize it. It's something that I believe in.
Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. So we've been talking about how every generation has its own revolutionary task or its own particular challenge to contest. In the 70s, what were the concerns that were top of mind, the political and social justice concerns that you were thinking about? And how have you seen these concerns endure and evolve over time?
Yeah, sorry.
It is very interesting because the question of liberation and the question of self-determination and the question of living dignified people, the question of patriotism, the question of a nation that has an identity that resonates with its history. All these matters which I know you discuss have no generation, because it's the reality of human life, how we've been living over years. So the fundamental question that brings us here under this cover is because the world over, society has been governed, or society has continued to live in a very dialectical contradiction of the oppressed and the oppressor. It's nothing rocket science. No. The question of power relation is real. Power relation is real. The most unfortunate thing is that we have very good, wonderful buzzwords, and we can think very left, talk very left, but where power relation is concerned, I think the experience, and I hope this time around from here on, like I listened to the keynote address, that now we know power belongs to us, and it does not only belongs to us, it is us to exercise for the objectives of our own lives, life fulfillment. Therefore, when Chinua Achebe said the center cannot hold, what was he saying? Because the system is very creative throughout history in re-engineering itself, constructing itself differently, branding itself, but oppression is oppression, and oppressor is oppressor. There are no other things that can define that. And therefore, those who want the dispensation of fulfillment of life, sometimes which we refer as justice, human rights, we have used all the vocabularies that have come and gone. But the fundamental question, what holds the system? What holds the system? The system is the principality of domination and control. It has its own institutionalized mechanism and instruments to sustain the status quo and to keep itself into power. That's why you hear words like they were co-opted, they are sellout, they are not committed, others are very committed. All these issues. And the greatest gift we have in this hall today is because we are giving our own testimonies. We have lived to tell. I'm not reading a book. I'm not reading Marx. I'm not referencing Lenin. Anything. I am talking about my own life experience. When I understood that the contradictions of society is about power relation, the oppressor and the oppressed. There is no apology about it, but those who engage with the status quo find themselves at other times trying to apologize, trying to belong and actually belonging, but the system continues to remain intact. And that's why I threw that slogan, a luta continua. The struggle has been ongoing. The struggle is here with you and us, and the struggle demands that we get to know what we need to do today. We know it's wonderful to organize and to mobilize and to speak great rhetorics, but how are we connected with the essence of the fundamentals, especially where the energy of revolutionary transformation is concerned? Those that are referred as the dispossessed, the oppressed, how are we working with them? Because that is the energy to snowball and to come and now throw off the already cracked up system, because this system is dead. It cannot work. That's why capitalism is no longer a language. They have come with the neoliberalism. They have come with the power of finance capital. They have come with very many definitions in trying to survive. During Margaret Thatcher and Reagan, shameless, they went on to say, there cannot be any other alternative. And we sang that song, which brought us to the logical conclusion of globalization. A small village of the world, we belong to it. Globalize them, package them, so that we can dominate and control for the essence of keeping them at the status of dispossession, while we keep our loyalty to the power of capitalism, today to the power of finance capital. And that's why we must get to know the conspiracy of the military hardware, how it works with the pharmaceutical companies, how it works with agribusiness, how it works with the insurances, and how everything is being settled at the banks. And so long as the balance sheet is balancing, all is well. And the balance sheet is to kill life at the altar of profit. So we are here taking up the baton like the Gen Zs demonstrated. We are here to consolidate that our history has. And that's why I'm sitting here, and that's why we are having this panel, and that's why you are listening. So, as we listen to one another, we must be very, very alert that we are engaging with a system that has been in place for over hundreds of years. A system which has systemic issues. And those systemic issues do grow to a point that they can no longer be hidden, like today when we are saying whoever must go. And we have said many times they must go, but they never go because the system remains intact. So for me, and I'm happy to come here to add my voice to you young people, you must have the imagination and the vision of how